From the Whiskey Tangent Studios in Marlton, New Jersey, this is Whiskey Tangent News.
Hey everybody, this is Ed from the Whiskey Tangent Podcast, here with another episode of Whiskey News. Woo! And joining me as always is Scott.
Hey everybody.
And we have a lot of great stories for you today and a lot of information on what new whiskeys are coming out, and here's what it is. We're going to have 8 news stories this month. 3 are going to be what we call industry news, 2 are going to be financial news, and then true crime is back with 3 stories. Often funny, often hysterical, sometimes sad. And then we're going to tell you about 13 new whiskeys that you can buy this month, and then what's coming up for the old podcast in August.
All right, so it is July 2024, and here's all the news that's fit to drink. In industry news, bombshell ruling from the Robb Report. Distilling your own whiskey could soon be legal.
Oh, wow. Fuck you, Prohibition.
As most people know, making beer and wine at home is legal, but distilling your own high-proof spirits is a felony offense that comes with up to $10,000 in fines and up to 5 years in prison. However, in response to a lawsuit filed last year by the Hobby Distillers Association against the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, also known as the TTB, a federal judge in Texas ruled that the 156-year-old federal ban on making booze at home is unconstitutional. The original reason for the ban seems to be centered on tax revenue, with distilled spirits currently being taxed at a rate of $13.50 per proof gallon, which in 2022 amounted to more than $10 billion. But there are also significant safety concerns, including the propensity for improperly constructed stills to explode, as well as neglecting to discard the poisonous methanol that comprises a significant portion of what's known as the head of the distillate. So don't break out your old copper pot still just yet, because it remains to be seen how this will play out and whether or not the government will successfully appeal the ruling.
Right, that was my question. Like, there's a reason you can't build your own bombs at home, I would imagine, explosives. I mean,
exactly.
Like, there is public safety. We have to wear helmets if you ride motorcycles in some states.
Seatbelts.
You have to we have to wear seatbelts. This is for our own good. And I think there's a portion of this law that says making poisonous whiskey is against our own good, you know? I don't know why. I guess beer and wine have never been the same concern as whiskey. They don't have the head.
It's just a lower alcohol proof and the pressures that can build up. You're fermenting it in like these small little things. Yeah. They can also explode though if you don't do it right. Yeah. Plus, when you're distilling, you're using fire. Right. And fire and alcohol don't really mix.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, some people who deal with beer and wine get head. Maybe if you do it right. It's in the right order.
I thought you drink beer and wine to get head.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Or before or after or during, just for added pleasure.
And we're talking about the head you get on a beer when you pour it.
Yeah,
right?
that's all.
Yeah,
that's all. Yeah, like the head of a beer.
Yeah.
Get your minds out of the gutter, people.
That's exactly what I thought.
Or out of your partner's lap.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so the second story, actually the second and third stories that we have in industry news have to do with 2 new whiskey centers opening.
Okay.
So the first one is Jim Beam opens Heritage Center in whiskey's historic home. Although Kentucky dominates American whiskey today, there was once another bastion of whiskey production in the United States, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
During the 19th century, hundreds of distilleries, large and small, were scattered across the state when rye whiskey was the reigning style. So to honor this rich history, Suntory Global Spirits grumble, grumble, has opened the James B. Beam Pennsylvania Whiskey Heritage Center in partnership with the West Overton Village and Museum in Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, which lies 45 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. Beam's involvement stems from their connection to Pennsylvania rye through Old Overholt, one of the oldest whiskey brands in the United States, founded in 1810 by Abraham Overholt. Although only acquired in 1987 and now made in Claremont, Kentucky, the brand's roots remain in Pennsylvania. In fact, recently, and we covered it a couple news episodes ago, Beam debuted a new whiskey called A. Overholt, a rye made with the same mash bill originally used in 1810. The Heritage Center itself, which is housed in a former distillery and grist mill that was built in 1859, boasts a slew of guest experiences, including the largest publicly accessible collection of artifacts related to Pennsylvania's whiskey-making history, with more than 450 objects on display. In addition, the center also features the Overholt Stateroom Lounge, a modern bar with antique furniture and decor that serves both current and vintage bottlings. For more information, visit westovertonvillage.org.
I mean, we're in the process of planning a trip to Kentucky to experience some of that heritage up close.
Yeah.
And here's one that's, much closer that we
Much
could
closer,
take a
yeah.
trip. Yeah, and we haven't gone into that part of Pennsylvania in a long time. So I think this is just Suntory Global Spirits trying to throw a bone towards Beam for taking their name off the door.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. But
Sorry,
here's a heritage center for you.
In Pennsylvania, we're like, we haven't been there in 100. Shh. Just show up for the photos.
Yeah.
That's nice. Sure.
It is nice.
But I mean, it is true. And we have talked about that, the rich heritage of Pennsylvania whiskey back in the day, which is why it's good to see some of them, particularly the New Liberty that we visited ourselves.
Yeah.
Some Pennsylvania distilleries starting to come back online and make good stuff.
Right. And our buddy Anders,
Yes.
his place, a beer brewery, now engaging in distilling.
Yes, Broken Goblet.
Yep.
I always say it's in Bristol, but it's actually in the town right next to it technically. But it's a really cool place. If you can get over to Broken Goblet, go over there, say hi to Anders. They have great bands play there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've seen a couple of them. So the last story, the other opening, is Chicken Cock Whiskey gets a new Kentucky home.
Oh.
Resurrected in 2012, the historic Kentucky bourbon brand Chicken Cock dates back more than 160 years, and it's now finally putting down roots in the heart of bourbon country, with last month's opening of its new home in Bardstown. Named circa 1856 after the year its original distillery opened in Paris, Kentucky, it includes a bar, retail shop, barrel pick experience, and a micro distillery. Located at the historic Harrison Smith House in downtown Bardstown, circa 1856 exudes the home-like feel of its space. The bar serves the Chicken Cock whiskey lineup, of course, but also a variety of specialty cocktails and whiskey flights. And to commemorate the opening, Chicken Cock is releasing 2 new whiskeys that will only be available on the premises. A 5-year-old barrel-proof private cask of its Kentucky Straight Bourbon and a 15-year-old version as well. And the brand expects to offer more experimental, distillery-exclusive whiskeys going forward, given that the facility also includes an operational 30-gallon still. However, fans of the brand can rest easy in the knowledge that Chicken Cock has no plans on severing its partnership with Bardstown Bourbon Company, which will continue to distill their core lineup. For more info, visit chickencockwhiskey.com.
All right, and if you want a little of a background of what's going on there, listen to our episode with the master distiller Greg Snyder and the Chicken Cock. Which rye was it?
Oh, the Island Rooster Rye.
Right.
Yeah, it was finished in the rum barrels.
Right. So that was a great episode.
So informative, yeah.
Chicken Cock, Chicken Cock, Chicken Cock.
Rye.
Sorry, I had to do that.
Oh my God.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. All right. So next we have up is financial news. From PR Newswire, Irish whiskey predicted to grow by billions.
Oh.
Yeah. According to the market research firm Technavio, the global Irish whiskey market size is estimated to increase by $2.4 billion US between now and 2028 due to the increasing demand from emerging economies for whiskey diversity and a trend towards lower alcohol and organic options among health-conscious consumers, with key players like Jameson, Bushmills, Redbreast, and Teeling leading the charge. In addition, other industry giants such as Suntory, Diageo, and William Grant & Sons are investing in new product lines and distilleries as well. This all comes in stark contrast to the state that Irish whiskey has endured for most of the past 100 years, which saw severe contraction to just 3 companies due to the effects of American prohibition, taxation, and other circumstances. However, with Ireland's increasingly prosperous economy, technological advancements, e-commerce supply chains, and a young adult population with a high disposable income, Irish whiskey has only one direction to go: up.
See, my thought on that, and that's really good to hear because I do like Irish whiskey a lot. But what I've noticed in the trend, because there has been a lot of Irish whiskeys popping up, that some of them are tasting more and more like single malts or scotches, which is okay. But then is it Irish whiskey or is it just a scotch made in Ireland the way single malts are a scotch made in America? But I kind of like my Irish whiskeys to taste like an Irish whiskey. And if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying.
Most of that, I think, has to do with their triple distillation. That kind of mellows everything out.
Right, but I've had Teelings that tasted kind of scotchy, and I've had some other Irish whiskeys that had some elements of it.
Just in New York, we had 15 that we'd never tried before, and we could have had another 15 that we'd never even heard of.
Right, so for example, the first one we had in stout, it was that...
oh, yeah, I forget the name of it.
I have it. Tyrconnell whiskey. Tyrconnell Irish whiskey in the sherry finish that Nick gave us.
Yeah.
Then I thought that the Methods and Madness was kind of scotchy. I thought the Green Crest and the Slains we had was pretty Irish.
Yeah.
And I thought that the ones that we got, for the most part, Powers John Lane or the J.J. Corey.
Oh, yeah, the ones we got at the Dead Rabbit.
The Dead Rabbit collab. They were pretty Irish.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they're doing a lot of experimentation. So you're right that it could affect the character of what people consider an Irish whiskey going forward.
Right.
But there always will be those classic brands.
Yeah, but I think it's a danger when, it's like when Eddie Van Halen started playing keyboards. Like Irish whiskey, you're the best Irish whiskey in town. Do you want to be the 15,000th Scotch whiskey? You know what I mean? Like,
I got you.
Do you really want to dance with Macallan and Glenfiddich and Glenlivet and
Glenmorangie and
all them, right?
Ardbeg.
Right.
Yeah.
And if so, good, but you better bring your A game. You know what I mean? If you're going to go with a real peat and mash bill and Scotchy tastes and notes.
Yeah, because, I mean, if they're basing their prediction of Irish whiskey growing by billions of dollars, if they change it too much,
right,
then maybe it won't grow because what people like and expect is not what they're actually getting.
Right. It'd be like if, McDonald's all of a sudden went to 100% Impossible Burgers. I mean,
right. No beef at McDonald's.
Exactly.
That would be pretty bad.
It'd be worse at Wendy's, right? With where's the beef?
Yeah, where's the beef? Well, it's built in a lab.
Oh, God.
All right, so our second story in financial news from the Whiskey Wash. The whiskey investment market has crashed, but that might actually be a good thing. Outside of the odd $1 million headline-grabbing whiskey auction, if you're like us, you don't really pay all that much attention to whiskey as an investment strategy.
Right.
But over the past 3 years, the whiskey investment market has seen assets increase their value by up to 24% or more year over year. However, just in the past 6 months, unbridled greed, high interest rates, investment scams, and a surprise police raid on a cask investment firm in England have combined forces to dramatically reshape the landscape, such that nearly all of the value gained in the past 3 years has been lost. But Mark Littler, editor-in-chief of the Whiskey Watch, thinks this long overdue market correction is actually a good thing. Not only has the crash brought down prices to more reasonable levels, which will allow lower income investors to enter the market, it will also discourage fly-by-night outfits from promising astronomical returns, thus rebutting the claim that the whole idea of investing in whiskey is just one big scam. If you're already in the market, his advice is to hold what you have and wait for prices to come back up. And if you're thinking of getting into the market, now just might be the right time to do so.
No, I'm good.
It seems a little too bubble and pop for me. It rises really high and goes, it's like Bitcoin. I'm not going to do that either. Or NFTs. It just seems, I don't know, like I said in the article, like a scam. I
mean, I admit, hindsight 2020, if I'd known what Bitcoin was going to do when it was a quarter, I would have bought a couple $1,000s and held it till this point. But But then people say, do you feel bad? No, because had I bought it for a quarter, I would have sold it when it got to be $1 and I wouldn't have it anymore anyway.
Right. Yeah.
When I made a nice chunk of change for me, I would have turned my 1,000 into 4,000, but I wouldn't have turned my 1,000 into like
400,000.
Right. 800, 480,000, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. True crime.
True crime. My favorite.
All right. So
we're going through these fast today.
We are going through them this fast.
It's like the News Minute.
So sort of piggybacking on that last story about the whiskey investment scams,
yeah.
From Men's Journal, con artist fined for $1 million whiskey investment scam. Earlier this month, an Ohio court accepted the guilty plea of London native Casey Alexander, 27, for a conspiracy to commit wire fraud, sentencing him to 3 years of probation and ordering to pay back a combined $202,000 to his victims. Alexander had been facing 20 years in prison and an additional fine of $250,000 for defrauding more than 150 U.S. victims who had contributed over $13 million to his investments. Alexander had set up 3 individual companies, which he then used to obtain phone numbers to cold call elderly Americans and convince them to invest by using aggressive and deceptive tactics that promised large returns. He and his co-conspirators told the victims that they could buy a portfolio of fine wines and whiskeys on their behalf and then hold the purchase in a bonded warehouse located in Europe until sold for a profit.
Wow.
It's like having a girlfriend in Canada, right?
That's right.
Oh, yeah, we have these warehouses in Europe. Sure we do.
Whatever.
Ohio authorities were alerted to the scam back in 2020 when one of the victim's sons called police to report that his parents had seemingly been scammed out of $300,000 in just 18 months.
$300,000?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Exactly.
First of all, how do you get to earn that much money to be that dumb, to lose it?
Yeah. The FBI got involved and set a trap for Alexander using another man who had been convicted in an unrelated fraud case, who later informed the FBI that Alexander would soon be traveling to Ohio, where he was arrested.
Wow.
I know, these people are relentless, and older people, I guess they're home and they're bored and they're like, yeah,
all right, that's $5,000.
Make a lot of money.
Yeah, I'll throw $5,000. I mean, that's a lot right there.
So it says over 18 months. So I guess maybe they kept calling them back. They're like, yeah, we have a fish on the line here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We'll just keep calling them and getting more and more money out of them. It's sad. I feel like this guy had the best lawyer. I think he got off easy.
Yeah, like, so he took $13 million in. He had to pay back $202,000.
Exactly.
I'm assuming people got most of their money back.
Maybe.
The numbers aren't adding up to to me.
Yeah, well, maybe because, like in the previous story, I said the market crashed.
Yeah.
So the investments weren't worth as much as they had been, and so they didn't get their money back.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, you're assuming he actually bought them. I don't think he bought anything.
Well, you're right. That's true, too.
Like you said, the whiskey was like a girlfriend in Canada when you were in high school.
Right. All right, so the next one, not so serious.
All righty.
So from WKRN in Nashville, man steals construction vehicle in order to steal whiskey barrel.
Oh, tell on, Scott.
Yeah. Late last month, Donald Bilby, 47, was taken into custody after stealing a skid steer loader, also known as a bobcat, from a construction site, taking it on a joyride to downtown Nashville and into the Bridgestone Arena, where he used it to steal a barrel of Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey. After receiving reports from several eyewitnesses, officers caught up with Bilby trying to unload the barrel off the skid steer. When questioned, the suspect told him that he had found the loader on the street with the keys inside and assumed that, quote, somebody wanted it moved. However, when police spoke to the general contractor at the construction site, he told them that Bilby pulled down a fence to get onto the property and stole the skid steer outright, which is valued at $68,000. Bilby was taken into custody and charged with burglary, theft of a vehicle, theft of property, and vandalism, and remains jailed on a $62,000 bond.
I mean,
he had a plan.
That's another dumbass right there.
I mean, he must have known that that whiskey barrel was there, and he went to steal the loader so that he could get it. It wasn't just a crime of opportunity.
So here's why that's dumb. The barrel of Jack Daniels probably was in the area of $3,000 to $4,000, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say it was $5,000 just for the fun of it. You go and steal a $68,000 product, which is a much bigger crime, to steal a $5,000 product. A story that I heard once is very similar. A guy wanted some chicken, but he didn't have any money for chicken. So next door to the chicken place was the bank. So he went in and he robbed the bank of about $8,700. And then he went next door and right away bought a bucket of chicken.
It's the same thing.
And he was sitting there eating a chicken when the cops arrested him. Now, had he just snatched the bucket off the counter and ran out of the chicken place, that's like a misdemeanor. But instead, he did federal bank robbery to get a bucket of chicken.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this person worked really hard to go to jail. He stole a loader and took fence down and got into an arena.
I know.
Like, there had to be other places to steal barrels of Jack in the middle of an arena.
I know. There's so many weird things about this story.
Yeah.
I love it, though.
That's pretty good.
People are so dumb.
It's really dumb.
All right, here's another dumb guy. From Fox 35 in Orlando, Florida, of course.
Yep.
Officer arrested after arriving at work drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Late last month, Joseph Everett, 27, a deputy for the Polk County Sheriff's Office, was arrested and charged with DUI after he showed up for work exhibiting signs of intoxication. His supervisor smelled alcohol on his breath, and when questioned, the deputy admitted that he had consumed 3 coffee mugs of whiskey the night before. Said Sheriff Grady Judd, anytime someone chooses to drive under the influence of alcohol, it shows a lack of good judgment. And if you lack the proper judgment when it comes to drinking and driving, you have no business working in law enforcement. We hold our deputies to a higher standard than the community, and he failed to meet that standard. Everett, who had worked with the Sheriff's Office for 2 years, resigned upon his arrest. Now, it depends on how big the mug is, but my mug is 10 ounces. 3 mugs of that?
Yeah.
30 ounces? That's 15 grams.
I don't believe that when he said last night, he meant like 8 o'clock at night. I believe he meant like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. That morning.
Yeah, I think he was still hammered.
What are you doing going to work, though? Just call out sick.
I know. I don't.
What are you doing?
Just take a sick day, man. I mean, even take a deduct day. I mean,
yeah.
People make bad decisions.
And now he's out of a job.
That's why we always say, like, we always take measures to get home safely. Sometimes it's inconvenient. I have to leave my car half an hour from home. I either get a ride or I take an Uber. And then I got to get all the way back there and get the car the next day. It's a pain in the ass. But you know what's bigger pain in the ass? Killing yourself, killing somebody else, getting arrested, $10,000 in fines, losing your license for a year.
Right. If inconvenience is what you're worried about, it's going to be way more inconvenient if you do the wrong thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
now the new whiskeys.
Yeah, so 13 new whiskeys coming out that we can buy this month, which was, I think we had 18 last month, but this is...
Yeah, we had a lot, like 16 or 17, yeah, that's a lot.
Oh, the summer release, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now we're in the middle of summer. These are the Johnny-come-latelys.
So first on the list that I have here is Booker's, another Booker's expression.
Well, they come out, what, twice a year?
I think 4 times a year.
4 times a year, right. Yeah. So no shock that there's another Booker.
No, this one's called the Beam House Batch 2024-02. The second Booker's batch of 2024 is named after Master Distiller Fred No's family home, where his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, the Jim Beam, also lived. It's 124.6 proof. It's 7 years, 2 months, and 22 days aged. The mash is not disclosed, but it's taken from 5 different aged barrels. Oak, vanilla, butterscotch, black black pepper, blackberries, and peanut brittle. MSRP 100.
Yeah, if you can get any of the Bookers for 100, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I've never, ever been disappointed with a pour. Yes, some are a little bit better than the others, but they're all damn good.
Totally agreed. Next one I have is Bushmills. They are putting out a 14-year.
Oh.
Yeah, joining their brand's iconic 10, 16, 21, 25, and 30-year expressions, this new 14-year is the first to be finished in Malaga white wine casks for up to 12 months. It's 80 proof, 14 years aged, of course, 100% malted barley. Sweet honey, vanilla, mandarin, orange, mango, pineapple, apricot, cinnamon, and warm caramel. MSRP is 70. 70 isn't bad for a 14-year.
No, but it's still an 80 proof.
I know.
I feel like if you're going to hold it 80 proof for 14 years, give it a 90.
I would like that. But you were just complaining about traditional Irish whiskey.
No, you're right. You're right. That's why I have.
I'm not calling you a hypocrite.
That's why I have a wine fridge, because I keep it cold in there, so I don't have to put ice on it and water it down.
Exactly. Cedar Ridge has 2 new expressions. Tasted them a couple times. The Slipknot, and also one of the Lost Lantern expressions was from Cedar Ridge,
which I bought a bottle of.
So the first one is of the Amontillado sherry finished bourbon. So joining their inaugural bourbon launched in 2010 and a more recent barrel proof version, this new whiskey is the distillery's first ever sherry cask finish. 115 proof, 4.5 years aged, 74% corn, 14% malted rye, 12% malted barley. Caramel, vanilla, chocolate, plum, dark grape, and peppery spice. The MSRP is 60.
That's a pretty good price.
Yeah. The second one is the QuintEssential special release, the Untitled Cigar Malt Project American Single Malt. Hell of a name. Okay. For their third release under the QuintEssential brand, Cedar Ridge Master Blender Murphy Quint. Get it? Yeah. Wanted to emulate the experience of smoking a cigar. So he took their blended peated American single malt finished in ruby port casks and 4 unpeated American single malts finished in their own bourbon barrels, then separately finished in their own Madeira-inspired wine casks, Amontillado sherry casks, new charred French oak barrels, and new charred American oak barrels. 114.9 proof, 100% malted barley. I couldn't find any tasting notes. MSRP is 100.
That seems incredibly reasonable.
I want this.
Incredibly reasonable for that effort that went into that.
Yeah, I want this.
Got it.
I'm going to order it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. All right, then.
Do it.
All right, do that.
Fine. All right, fine. What are we doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. The next one we have is a Colonel E.H. Taylor.
Oh,
has put out a barrel-proof rye.
Okay.
Aside from the annual Thomas H. Handy expression from their antique collection, Buffalo Trace doesn't have any other barrel-strength ryes in their portfolio until now. 126 proof, no age statement, mash bill's not disclosed, but it's noted that it's their high rye mash bill, potentially with
rye.
rye. Potentially with 0% corn, so just rye and malted barley. Heavy spice, pepper, grassiness, honey, butterscotch, apricot, juicy orange, and a trailing oakiness. MSRP is $78. If you can get it for that, because this will probably go fast.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you get any of the E.H. Taylors for under 100,
I know.
Let me know.
Yeah, send us one. We'll pay you. We're good for it.
Whatever.
Exactly.
So the next 3 up are all toasted expressions, bourbon and 2 ryes. First, we have the Peerless Toasted Bourbon, Batch 2.
That's got to be good.
Yeah, Peerless released Batch 1 just a few months ago, and the second batch continues the process of aging their regular bourbon in 2 separate oak barrels, a standard number 3 char barrel, and then a medium toasted barrel, which was toasted for about an hour. 110 proof, 5 years aged, plus 1 month in the toasted barrel. The mash is not disclosed. Sweetly floral, with saltwater taffy, pears, toasted coconut, plums, pineapple upside-down cake, cinnamon cherry, pina colada, blueberry reduction, and sweet mint. MSRP 125. That sounds good. I mean, 125 seems a little high, but...
Peerless is very impressed with themselves. Their prices are a little bit higher than I want, but I've never had a bad dram of Peerless.
Yeah.
I haven't had a lot of Peerless, but everything I've had has been good.
Yeah. The next one is Penelope has put out a new toasted rye. This is batch 24304, which is now an annual offering. Different from their first batch, this one was aged longer in new American charred oak and then transferred into secondary new barrels with higher char and higher toast levels. It's 100 proof, 6 years aged, plus 4 months in the secondary barrels, 95.5 rye, butterscotch, vanilla, toasted marshmallow, tobacco, orange peel, and subtle spice. MSRP is only 75.
Well, that sounds delightful.
Yeah. And the third one, Elijah Craig, has a toasted rye. So this is basically the rye that they put out like a year ago, finished in new #1 charred barrel that was toasted for an hour, a 94 proof, as Elijah Craig tends to be, 46 years aged, plus a few months in the barrel. They didn't disclose that. It's 51% corn, 35% rye, 14% malted barley, toasted oak, creme brulee, almonds, hazelnut, milk chocolate, and baking spice. MSRP is $55.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where their toasted bourbon is too, which is really good.
Yeah.
But it's just a little shock to the system because Elijah Craig's like $34, and so's the rye, and then you toast it,
and it jumps up
$20, $25.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why I don't drink more of it.
It's better, but is it $20 better?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Hirsch.
All right, Hirsch.
All right, Hirsch. We've done Hirsch on the podcast. Hirsch, the single barrel white label bourbon. Hirsch's latest single barrel whiskey is, like most of their whiskeys today, distilled and aged in Bardstown, Kentucky by Bardstown Bourbon Company. It's 102.88 proof, 4 years and 8 months aged, 74% corn, 18% rye, 8% malted barley. Grain, honey, vanilla, corn, peanut spice, and a kick of oak. MSRP is $50.
All right, let's get that right now.
Yeah, they're single barrels they put out periodically, and they name them for their labels, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why this is called white label. This one excites me.
All right.
Knob Creek.
Yes.
Bourbon times rye.
Oh.
Yeah, this new limited edition release combines Knob Creek's iconic 9-year bourbon and their 7-year rye into one unique blend that embodies the best of both whiskey worlds. Ooh. 113 proof.
Wow.
7 to 9 years aged, of course. Combined mash bill is not disclosed, but its tasting notes are sweet maple, vanilla, nuts, baking spice, caramel, toffee, black pepper, with a hint of fruitiness and lingering spice. MSRP is $45.
I mean, I can't wait to try this.
We're going to go to get this and the Hirsch
right now again.
Right now. All right, so the Lagg Corriecravie Scotch Single Malt.
Yes.
If that name sounds familiar.
It does, Scott. Where's that from?
It was the winner of the Global Whiskey Challenge that Ed and I were lucky enough to attend, and it's now available in America. Corriecravie and its sister spirit, Kilmorey, are the first single malts from the Lagg distillery, which opened just in 2019 and is located on the south end of the Isle of Arran. This was aged in ex-bourbon barrels, then finished in Oloroso sherry hogsheads for 6 months. 110 proof, at least 3 years aged, 100% malted barley. Dark chocolate, spiced red berries, hazelnut, sweet spice, and charred embers. MSRP is $100.
So is this the exact one that won?
This is the one that won.
All right. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah. We did get to taste it, and we
did, yeah,
really liked it.
It's a high-quality whiskey.
Yeah.
And we can't say that the inclusion and the victory of the Global Spirits Challenge is why it's in America now, but we can't say it's not why.
You can't prove it.
You can't prove that's not why it is, because it won the Global Whiskey Challenge. And now look, just a month later,
yeah, here it is.
Coming to America.
Today!
Oh, wait, we're doing two songs.
Oh, yeah. You were doing...
I'm doing Coming to America with James Brown.
James Brown. I'm doing Neil Diamond.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming to America.
As Ethel Merman, evidently.
Yeah, it was a little dramatic.
All right, here we go.
All right. And the last one, no, I have two more. Maker's Mark has a new entry in their wood finishing series called the Heart Release. Finished with a blend of toasted American and French oak staves, the Heart Release celebrates the team that distills their whiskey, the people who sit at the heart of Maker's Mark, guiding and setting the tone for so much of what they do. It's 112.6 proof, no age statement, 70% corn, 16% wheat, 14% malted barley, the classic Maker's Mark, milk chocolate, vanilla pound cake, caramel drizzle, maple syrup, brown sugar, sweet tea, black cherry, raspberry, gingerbread, freshly baked sourdough, clove, ginger, cinnamon, and oak. MSRP $75.
All right.
Those tasting notes.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They just went on and on and on.
I mean, they made it sound really good.
Oh, yeah. And the last one, I think you're going to find it really interesting.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Remus.
Oh.
Babe Ruth Reserve Bourbon.
You just name it after people now?
If they lived in the 20s. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Remus is out with a new bourbon made in honor of legendary baseball player Babe Ruth. It's a blend of 3 high rye bourbons chosen as a nod to the Sultan of Swat's jersey number 3, which the New York Yankees retired in 1948. In addition, only 10,624 bottles are available, matching the number of his plate appearances.
Interesting
It's
choice.
111 proof, 6 to 7 years aged. 12% of it is a 7-year 44% rye bourbon. 18% of it is a 5-year 49% rye bourbon, and 70% of it, the bulk, is a 6-year 36% rye bourbon. Brown sugar, fig, mint, candied pecans, fennel, rye spice, and cinnamon. MSRP is $150.
I mean, it had to be at least 150.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're a Yankees fan or you're a fan of the time period or baseball, this might be up your alley.
Or whiskey. For that matter.
Well, yeah. I'm assuming whiskey.
but all companies have to put out a special release every now and then. It's like when you see those ridiculous fashion shows where they're coming down with like fish bowls on their head and stuff like that. And that doesn't really translate to what's in the stores. But what it is, it's a showing off or a highlighting of the skill and artistry of your distillation team. It shows what you can do, how creative you are, and it draws good, positive attention when you can produce a special expression.
Yeah, it's like cars, they do like an experimental model.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I can't remember what that's called, but that's sort of the same thing. It's like, here's what we can do.
Prototype?
Yeah, there you go. Here's where we think maybe the design of cars is going, even though that will never actually be built.
Right, that particular car won't be, right.
So next thing we do is what's coming up in the podcast. Our schedule got a little chaotic last month because we had some guest unavailability and other scheduling snafus. We'll get back on track, but for the time being, it's still going to be a little up in the air.
It's a summer.
Yeah. There are 5 Fridays in August. The first Friday, the 2nd, we're going to have no podcast. We're going to take a little break. Then the next 3 could be in any order. The 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd, depending on when we record. 2 are recorded, but 1 we're going to record.
Okay.
So episode 76, we're finally doing Johnny Walker.
Deep dive into the Johnny Walker distillery.
Deep dive. We're going to do 4 or 5 expressions from them and talk about their history, and I think it's going to be great. We did a whiskey short that'll come out either before or after that episode. How to infuse your whiskey, which was super surprising.
Wow, where do you hear this one?
Came out great. Then we have a bonus short, quick taste, of the Coalition Sauterne Finished Rye. And on the 30th, the last Friday in August, we'll be right back here doing the August news.
All right. So really, lots of good whiskeys coming out still, even though most of the summer releases came out last month. We still have some amazing whiskeys. I think the Knob Creek one is the most interesting one for me. Might not be the best one, but it's the most interesting one. Yeah. You know, the Cedar Ridge has got Scott going online to buy a bottle today. And the Hirsch one seems like a great deal also for a single barrel.
Yeah.
If you, like $50-$60.
If that's what it is in the stores.
Right. So go out there and find a bottle for you, and
find a bottle for us and send it to us.
Yeah, find us a bottle. Yeah. We have had that, and we really enjoy that, I think, most of all.
Yeah.
So for the Whiskey Tangent Podcast, I'm Ed.
I'm Scott.
Cheers, everybody.
Later.